Just to make sure I understand, Minister. So are you basically saying if General Masemola had signed off on the implementation in 2024, a unit like the NPKT, as you call it, would have been dissolved as at 2024?
Yes, it would have been dissolved. It would have been dissolved, commissioners, for the simple reason that the NPKT couldn't coexist with specialized units, one of which would be serious and violent crimes as a component, under which there would be murder and robbery, under which there would be a sub-unit called political killings. It would be an unnecessary duplication, and it would run against the letter and spirit of the work study as they adopted it in 2019 and wished to implement it all these years, as I say.
Thank you.
Minister, I'm here. If I may just ask on the back of this response to the chairperson, at paragraph 37 of the statement, you say that the work study effectively disestablished the NPKT. Can you just explain that? Because my first understanding of that statement of yours is that beyond 2019, after that work study was adopted, beyond that period, there should never have been a PKTT. Is that a correct understanding of what you're conveying in paragraph 37?
Correct. But depending on their assessment of implementation of the implementation letter of 2019 in September, that would prove that the murder and robbery is now running in this and that and so on, provinces and at national, because the murder and robbery would be both at national and at provincial level. Once they determine that, then it would run, and by 2024, murder and robbery was there. And I can even go further to say, shortly after we got appointed, we ourselves started discussing with management a new organogram, a new organizational structure, which I will come to later. And it was emphasized that no, in fact, we do have murder and robbery. We do have this and that unit, but I'll come to that later on.
Thank you.
Now, so the summary in paragraph 45, in the summary is that one of the things that would have happened, therefore, is that the functions of PKTT and other units would be transferred to the units that would have been established as per the work study and implementation. Now, I need to lift my head here and say the simple process, it would have been just a simple process in a department to say, I imagine they would even possibly not want to talk about disbandment. They might have chosen to say, it's absorption. It's an internal departmental kind of process in the light of the internal processes, organizational processes that would have taken place, and they would merely have done that kind of implementation on themselves. And I would make an example of one unit that we disestablished in the process of orientation in 2024 without much ado. Now, I want to proceed. I was just addressing in passing the lapses. Sometimes, commissioners, in the departments that we run or are appointed to run, you do from time to time come across lapses. Other lapses have minor impact and minor consequences, but other lapses have bigger consequences depending on the case at hand.
Sorry, Minister, I don't want to break your flow, but when you are looking at the work study, please at some point consider 8.10 of the recommendations. It will be on page 201 of the annexures. Just make a note for yourself, Minister, and then at some point. But it deals with the very subject you are addressing now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Now, let me go to, so in the meantime, I do make that point as part of paragraph 46 as a part of expansion. In the meantime, we had started, as I've pointed out, the reviewing of the organizational structure, which is now in line with the 7th administration. So that is what was happening. Now, I then deal with organizational placement and budget implications. Well, I make reference out. I know commissioners have ease of reference in the structures. I had intended putting it in a screen for clarity, because I know that you are being followed as a commission by many, many people in the country who may want to understand what is that we're talking about, but maybe we don't have luxury of time on our side.
We do have it, Minister. We can project it. Thank you.
I would love that we display that. I won't go to all the boxes. I'll just make a reference to what we're talking about only.
Thank you.
Ms. Sigels, aren't we going to see it?
We are going to, Chair. And just for the benefit of the commissioners, the hard copy is also in the exhibit bundle CJC 55, which would have been provided to you. It could be file 2 of 2. It's the exhibit correspondence and documents bundle.
I would have loved a pointer if you have it. I'm sorry, I have a question late.
Unfortunately, we don't have a pointer, Minister.
Okay, I'll use my finger.
You can refer, and then she will circle it.
Ms. Nube, can this be expanded here? We can hardly see a thing.
Okay.
More?
So this is you'll see this is the structure signed this year. Now I do need to clarify this point, because someone said Minister Mchunu is misleading the public, disbanding national political task team in 2024 and making reference to a structure signed in 2025, so that I don't mislead that particular person and the public. The structure, the new organizational structure, we completed last year before the end of the year, a reviewed organizational structure. But there are processes that involve labor that took some time into the new year, leading up to the official signing on that date, but the structure had been agreed on internally in 2024. So what you see there is as we had decided on or agreed on right in 2024, but now it's then indicated as such. But I want to go to the division that deals with detectives, the detective section. There's another slide. If you could move to another slide, that will make things clearer, what we are talking about. If you would start counting the boxes from left. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. It's in the signed one that I said we completed it last year, but then signing got a little bit delayed because of various processes. So there are other units, but in terms of mandates of murder and robbery, there is then, even if it's not indicated there, those mandates that are in bullets, but there it just shows murder and robbery. Thank you. So I would, it's duplicated even at provincial level as well, national and provincial. Then I would go to paragraph 53.
Are you done with the organogram?
Yes.
Okay.
Can,
They'll
please,
just take
please,
the handheld mic from you.
Please switch on those
sorry.
mics.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. So I now.
Sorry, Minister?
Yes.
Can I, before you move on to 53, what does it mean practically when you say the structure was approved in 2024, but it was still to be subjected to engagement with unions? Can you just explain what is the effect of that?
Well, just drawing from my experience while I work for public service and administration, and I don't want to point a finger to labor, but it does delay because you do the macro structure inside a department, and then you do the micro, meaning you negotiate internally with placements of people as per the new structure. Once those processes have been completed, you effectively have a structure. But you still have to take that structure to labor, that is triple SPC, to say, here is a proposed structure by the department. You are now talking to external partners, labor, as it is now, good as it is, but it delays the impact. I even went out of my way, persuaded the leadership of labor to say, could you give us a discount in terms of the period of consultations and all of that. Not necessarily to say I was undermining labor, but I was saying because of the pressures that we had, for which we reviewed the structure. When we reviewed the structure, we're not ticking a box. We had something specific in mind because of the pressures that we had, which I'll go to later on. So it has an impact.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to understand is this is signed in 2025, on a date in 2025. Does it mean that until then, there was no structure to implement? The SAPs could not implement this until the unions have had their say in the obligatory consultation process.
There is never, Commissioner, there is never a period where there is no structure. The old structure would be in place until signing, which replaces the old one.
Yes, I realize I spoke clumsily. Let me try and neaten it up a bit. You have a structure already in place. By the time in 2024 you adopt this new structure.
Yes, internally.
That's internal. It must now go through the union process.
Yes.
Because that's what a collective agreement requires.
Yes.
Now my question is, until the unions have had their input into this internally approved new structure, until the unions have had their input, you can't implement this new structure. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Legally, yes, you can't implement.
Thank you.
You can't implement legally.
Thank you, Minister.
Paragraph 53. The main features of the new organizational structure. Now, first, just to pass that, as we dealt with the new structure, we were made conscious, and we were aware that we have a very fertile basis on which to do the review. We're not going to start afresh. There is a structure, as I've indicated. It has a long history, but we can look at the imperatives of the seventh administration and perhaps add what we think are the imperatives that would enhance or build on the structure that was there. Now, these from 53.1 to 53.5 are the new things that were introduced in the existing structure. Number one, we dealt with division visible policing services, which we agreed we needed to divide into two so that there is visible policing services on one hand and operational response services, but from one structure. You now have two. And the reason for that is that when we analyzed this, we found that when you look at crime in South Africa, you need to fight crime in a way that is adjusted, structural, in terms of the organization structure, that is in line with the crime trends in the country. Now, crime trends in the country go beyond, in terms of the need to fight, it goes beyond visible policing alone, that is police in uniform and in police station. They do a lot of work. But there are certain forms of crime and types of crime that require more than that. And then we decided that you need to sharpen the combative side of SAPS. And units were there and are there. Not that we're going to start afresh. So you would now have almost three categories if you decide that ORS, as they call it, Operational Response Service, is now a division of its own. You would have uniform police frontline, especially on the preventive side, which is the commandate of SAPS in terms of the law. And then they would be backed by specialized units to do particularly investigative work. And then thirdly, they would be backed by ORS, the combative units. Those are your task force, your National Intervention Unit, your POP. Those are people who give SAPS the combative capacity to fight crime, especially in crime-ridden areas where there's almost resistance over a period. So we would have 3 lines. That was our thinking. But we found that even after deciding on ORS, officials told us that, no, we did have ORS at some point. We didn't have time to find out why was it removed? Why did you do away? Why did you disband it, this unit? Because from where I sit, it was important to have ORS as a division on its own instead of lumping it just together. Because if you lumped it, one of the things we found, it takes up 53% of the budget, this division, if it's not divided alone, division, visible policing service, 53% of the budget goes to this one alone. And it has got all these units, and no proper attention is given at the end of the day because people are overstretched. Now, what other feature was there other than dividing this and coming up with a new division called ORS, which was there before? It's the removal of police inspectorate, which was a unit. It was there when we started discussing. It's not a team. It's a unit. It is in the structure. It is an old structure that was there even before democracy. So we had a small conversation, a short conversation, to say, what do these people do? They wear uniform, they wear boots, and then in the main they're in the office. Then they do work. Then we said, no, we want boots in the street and that uniform. And it was agreed that we are agreeing to disestablish the police inspectorate. And if you look at the structure that has been signed, you no longer have police inspectorate. It's a unit, it's not a team. So when people say, why and how do you disestablish a unit or a team? It's a fair question. We're in a democracy to talk, but it's not like you can't do it, that it can't be done. We did it, the whole unit in the organizational structure. 3, what else did we introduce? Is establishment of specialized units. This is more or less endorsement of what was there. We said it's a good thing that we have it, including all these components that I've spoken about. What else did we add? We relocated the division supply chain from where it was to report directly under Chief Financial Officer for better accountability in SAPS. I listened to our CFO when she appeared in the commission. She said a lot of irregular component.
Was it not in Parliament before the ad hoc committee?
I'm sorry, Chair and Commissioners. It was in the ad hoc. I listened to her speaking. She says, in response to a question, no, most of our irregular expenditure over years comes from supply chain. And it continues to be like that. So when we observed this, we observed it as a weakness that the Divisional Commissioner of Supply Chain reports directly to the National Commissioner outside of the CFO. And the CFO is supposed to be the one who talks more about finances in terms of accountability of the department and other processes as a CFO, like it happens in other organizations. And CFO is in charge of 120 billion now of SAP's budget. Now, you can't then spend it in a manner that CFO can't be seen to be in charge. And you just make supply chain manager or divisional commissioner, commissioner in this instance, report directly to the National Commission. So we were doing this consciously to improve accountability so that we can change the situation. Now, these are the new features which are in line with the imperatives of the Sixth Administration. And when it comes to finances, we regard it that it's part of policy for which the minister is responsible, and minister is responsible, minister is responsible. How do you allocate the resources and how do you account for them? It was for that reason. I'll jump the rest and maybe go to paragraph 56 to say, by late 2024, therefore, the National Operational Center was required to absorb NPKT costs amounting to approximately 95 or 94 million for the 2024-2025 financial year. And when that submission was made to the financial officer, Lieutenant General Timpane, she recommended that this amount that was requested at that time be reduced to 20 million. And that the task team be disbanded, particularly after 2024 elections, and then a work study to determine its future be undergone to determine its future. And we have the copy of the commentary, just like we have made direct quotations from other lieutenant generals to help the Commission to understand what we are talking about. Now, National Commissioner subsequently approved a reduced allocation and so on. So indicating that we don't have a straight line in funding the National Political Killings Task Team right from 2018 up to this particular period. You make requests, you make memorandum, and so on and so on. Now, I pass this section.
Thank you, Minister.
Afternoon, Commissioners. It's brought to my attention that it's now, I think, gone past 4. Might this be an appropriate time for an adjournment?
Are we going to be?
We started a new topic thereafter. Sorry.
But still on the
PKTT.
The PKTT.
Yes.
Are we still going to be much longer?
If I may just confirm.
Yes, Mr.
Chair, if I may. Not too long. We are quite mindful of the time we have.
Yes.
If I can't venture guesstimate right now, But perhaps if we could have it, I would have an opportunity to confer with Advocate Sigal Nube, and tomorrow we will give you an indication. But the objective is to be completed with Minister Mchunu, including engagement on questions by evidence leaders by Thursday. It remains an objective, and ours is to structure a plan to achieve that objective.
Please remind me, what do we have on Friday morning? Because what we were told in chambers is that Mr. Nkaitobi's re-examination will only be in the afternoon on Friday. Or was it repeated here? I'm not sure.
Yes,
now.
I think he did. Yeah.
Yes.
He confirms it.
Yes. On Friday morning, what do we have?
We had a witness scheduled, but this afternoon we received an application for postponement to a later date, and that can only then now be next year.
Yes.
So we are still to apply our minds to that application. We think that solid reasons have been put forth for such a postponement, and once presented to the commissioners, is most likely to succeed.
Yes.
So on that basis, I think I can say that there is nothing currently scheduled for Friday morning if that application for a postponement is granted.
All right. I'm asking because I think that may give us time,
some breathing space,
to have the minister's testimony before the re-examination completed.
And we'll take that on board. We'll take that on board. Thank you, Chair.
If you're still going to be much longer and you are not able to tell us that you are not, so perhaps we should take the adjournment at this stage and
Yes, Chair.
resume at with the minister at 9:30 on Thursday.
Thursday.
On Thursday.
Correct.
And tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow we have Brigadier Mkwanazi continuing with the EMPD stream.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
Let us adjourn till 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Thank you.